Styx, Master of Shadows is a stealth adventure RPG game. Currently free from Prime Gaming with a Prime membership, via the good old game store until 4th of July 2025. We play Styx, a very sweary goblin captured by elves, and we join him as he's being interrogated. The scenario is introduced via a lengthy pre-rendered cutscene that, personally, I felt dragged a bit. It is a lot of exposition to drop. It does look decent though, and the voice acting is good. Styx sounds straight out of a noir thriller.
Elves, if you only knew. They don't need spies to find out what's going on in this accursed tower. So
Gravelly voiced and cynical. You can tell that the game is over a decade old though. There's a kind of blockiness to the character models and a simplicity to the textures, which extends into the game. It looks fine, as long as you're not expecting state-of-the-art graphics from a game. I think you'll find it works well enough to convey the world you're sneaking around in. It can be a bit too dark though. I think I might even have to brighten my footage for this video. In fact, the whole world is pretty dark and drab just in general. There are different areas that you go through as you play the game, but they are all set within a single city, so there isn't that much variation. It's either grey stone walls or lighter stone walls, basically. That lack of variation's not really helped by the fact that you revisit the same areas multiple times over the course of 7 missions, all of which are split into multiple parts. I wouldn't have minded maybe, I don't know, going outside and touching some grass, or touching anything except stone walls and seeing big pallets of boxes that you need to hide behind. The gameplay follows the usual infiltration formula, which means sneaking around patrols, or silently taking them out, stealing items and then getting the hell out of there. There is a combat system of a sort. If you find yourself in a direct confrontation, what you've got is really a parry system. If you parry attacks successfully enough, you get the option to then just kill your opponent. You also have the option to dodge, and that's basically it. The game discourages you from taking this direct route of just going up to people and trying to kill them. For starters, high difficulty settings make your opponents more and more deadly. Going for normal difficulty, the second setting out of the 4, which is the one I took, you can only really take 2 or 3 hits from a standard enemy before biting the dust and having to reload. Added to that, engaging in direct combat raises an alarm which brings everyone else in the local area down on you. And you pretty much only really parry one person at a time, so if there's more than one person fighting you, it's game over, reload. There are also missions that fail if you are spotted. Plus, later on in the game, some NPCs just kill you the instant they see you. Meaning there are a lot of times where you are actually forced to play stealthily. Obviously, it's a stealth game. You can take NPCs down silently by sneaking up behind them. You can take them out quick but noisy, or slow but silent. Even there's subtle ways that the game's discouraging you from killing. You get end of level bonuses if you don't kill people. And all of that ties into the skill trees, which I'll talk about later. The game does reward you for having a look around and really checking out your surroundings. There are collectibles to be found if you do this exploring, as well as spare consumables, and you might be able to find alternative routes that aren't immediately apparent. Because Styx is smaller than everyone else in this world, you can find lots of tunnels that will let you bypass enemy patrols, or there'll be gaps high up in the walls that you can use your climbing skills to get through. If all else fails, you can use some of the magical amber that is kind of part of you in a way, that lets you become invisible for a short period of time. Let's talk about those climbing skills, because I have a couple of gripes about it. You can jump around fairly freeform for the most part, jumping onto platforms, grabbing onto ledges and clambering up. There are also climbing points spread out on walls that let you jump between them. They are not always that easy to spot though, not always actually visible. But thankfully you have a skill called Amber Vision that highlights any important items in view, which includes these climbing points. Jumping between these points though is a little bit inconsistent and fiddly. What should happen is that you highlight the next point before jumping, and when you hit the button to jump, it will automatically jump you to that point. But that doesn't always happen. It doesn't always highlight the next point, and it can take a bit of time to highlight a point, which just doesn't work when you're frantically trying to get out of view and climb up a wall. Another gripe of mine is clinging onto a ledge. Sometimes you jump and you cling onto a ledge and you climb up immediately even though you didn't want to. Or sometimes you want to walk off a platform so that you can hang on to the ledge. And again, with the inconsistency, you can't always tell when you're going to grab on or just fall down. I played this game for a little over 20 hours, which is how long it took me to complete the main quest. And I still can't predict exactly how Styx is going to react when climbing. This is such a shame because the game otherwise feels really open as to how to tackle each mission. It feels like there are a multitude of routes that you can take to get to your objective, but this inconsistency had me just giving up on some of those potential routes, even though they seemed like you should be able to do them. That unpredictability just made it not worth trying. The feeling of the world being open is also helped by some of the consumables you can pick up. You can only carry limited amounts of them, so you don't really want to waste them, but you can pick up more as you move through the missions. You got throwing knives that let you take out unarmoured enemies from a distance, so you don't get spotted. You've got sand, which you can chuck at torches to put them out, and that matters because the amount of light in an area determines how easily you can be spotted. Also, because guards will go up and relight torches sometimes, that means you can redirect patrols by putting out a light and then sneaking past as they're relighting it. You do have to be careful about bumping into various things that are laying around like buckets or chairs, because all the guards are sensitive to noise. It actually reminded me of Tenchu Stealth Assassin, where you really need to think about how much noise you're making. For example, dropping down from a significant height will tend to make enough noise to alert a guard, unless you're landing on a carpet. What's interesting about this game is hiding in a box or barrel, like the usual hiding spots, might not actually help you during an alert, because if an NPC is actively searching for you, and they're near a hiding spot, they will look in closets or under tables, and if they find you, they drag you out and you're done for. Another consumable that comes in handy are vials of acid, because they dissolve the bodies of your victims, so if you take someone out and use it on them, there's no trace to alert guards. The last consumables are your standard vials of life that heal you, and vials of amber, which basically act as refills to your mana. Amber lets you use Amber Vision, turn invisible, and also makes you a clone. Clones are quite a big deal in this game. They're copies of you that, although they can't pick things up or fight, they can squeeze through some gaps in gates, activate switches, or even run out and distract guards, drawing them away from an area that you want to get into. You can switch between your clone and yourself at any time, so it's pretty easy to make the clone run away, switch back and take advantage of the chaos that ensues. Later on in the game, there are enemies that just cannot be stealthed past and run at you and explode. A clone's pretty good there for taking that damage. Clones can also get a fair few other really handy abilities, though you need to upgrade skills for that. So let's talk about the skills. We have 7 skill paths, with 4 upgrades in each, though the 7th path is a little bit different from the others. Within a path, you move through the 4 upgrades in order. You can't pick and choose. And each upgrade needs skill points, which you earn by completing objectives during the mission. Quick sidebar on the missions. Each one has a main objective and some optional tasks, and all of those reward skill points if you complete them. The optional tasks can be really tough to get, generally meaning spending a lot of time and a fair few resources to complete. You get bonuses for finishing mission quickly, being stealthy, not triggering any alarms, and being merciful, i.e. not killing any NPCs. There's also a relic on each level, which I never found any of. There's also, I think, 10 tokens on every level. These are the collectibles that don't do anything except fulfill one of the sub-objectives per mission. Now, if you do decide to find the relic and pick up those tokens, it does mean that you're not going to get the time bonus, right? In fact, getting the time bonus and the merciful one and the not being spotted is also really difficult. That does mean that when you do a mission, you are automatically not getting all of the skill points that are available, which is an interesting way of making people want to replay levels, which you can do between missions as long as you've actually completed them once. I finished the main quest, and I'm quite a lot of points away from maxing out all the skills. I don't know if you have to complete every sub objective on every single mission to do it, but I wouldn't be that surprised. Back to the skills though. They are actually quite impactful. Stealth skills make you quieter, improves your invisibility skill by making it cheaper to use and making it last forever if you don't move, which obviously is pretty helpful. The agility tree lets you land with less noise, extends the window for successful parries or dodges, and lets you throw knives and your sand further. The cloning upgrades are probably the most interesting, though I've not really taken that much advantage of them. Your clones, if you upgrade them fully, can grab hold of an NPC, can drag them into a chest. Your clone can just explode into a smoke bomb. The awareness tree upgrades your amber vision, which highlights notable collectibles or consumables in the area, which if you are trying to fully complete an area is pretty useful. The equipment tree allows you to carry more consumables, though it's still not that many, and I personally was always short of amber vials. I think I may have an amber problem. I can stop any time. It's fine. The kill tree gives you more options to remain unseen. No, obviously not, no. It lets you kill in more and better ways. It gives you drop kills, kills while you're hanging on ledges, and kills when you're hidden from people. Now that 7th tree is the predator tree. The skills in here actually require fully filling out 2 other trees before they even become available, and cost about as much for one individual skill as it does to fill out another tree. They are pretty good though. As I said, you need to replay missions multiple times to get all of the skill points if you really want to max things out, but that's going to be pretty hard. There are a lot of NPCs around, particularly on the later levels. There might be half a dozen guards in a particular room all patrolling, with some NPCs that just stay in a fixed position, which is exactly where you want to be walking. In these places, a single mistake means a reload. There was a ramp up in difficulty, and at the end it did feel kind of oppressive. I mean, in a way that's to the game's credit, because from the perspective of the story, it is very oppressive at that point. So, good job, but it did feel a little bit of a grind to play, for me at least. Maybe I just need to get better at these games. Overall then, Styx Master of Shadows provides an interesting story, although it did take a while to get going, and maybe could be written a little bit better. But it is a new fantasy world that eventually hooked me. The world gave me the feeling that I had a wide range of options on how to tackle each mission, which makes the times when it forces you to play a certain way stand out all the more. I do have gripes with the sort of climbing and general traversal being a bit inconsistent, but overall I mostly enjoyed playing this game. I would recommend it to enjoyers of stealth infiltration games. I'd say give it a try. I do think that I might be a little bit more negative on this game than I otherwise would be, because I mistakenly played the next game in the series, Styx Shards of Darkness, thinking it was this one, and that game is a fair bit better. It's obviously not really that fair to compare a game to its more polished successor. Hopefully Shards of Darkness is given away again at some point. I didn't waste my time playing it, because I would also recommend playing that one. Going back to Master of Shadows though, yeah, I would recommend it. If you don't like stealth, don't play this though, because you are going to have to do it at some point. Okay, that's all for my review. I need an amber fix, so I'm off. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.